Hello, and welcome back to our podcast on Wealth Magic. This is Marz, and once again, I am joined by our very own Pixie Dust
Hey guys.
and Yasmine.
Hi guys.
Now, in our last episode, we announced the end of the Wealth Magic podcast series, but that was a lie. We actually have one more offering. Initially, when we launched this podcast series, we did it with the goal of researching and creating meaningful discussions about this powerful grimoire. After much consideration, we decided that we'd offer one more episode to our friends who are listening to solely focus on setting the expectations and being successful with Wealth Magic.
Yeah, good. So surprise everyone, we're back. And we've noticed that in the Wealth Magic group that we have on Facebook, and as well as just some subscribers that have come across the podcast on my YouTube channel, there have been varying results. And people curious about why maybe their results aren't manifesting as quickly as some others. And there are just different questions that we've found to be pretty common among several people. So we're here today to answer some of these questions and share with you guys through our own experience and what we've gathered from hearing about others' experiences, the best answers that we can provide for these sorts of questions. So the first question that we have today, Marz, do you want to go ahead and start with that, lead off with that?
Yes, absolutely. I'd be delighted to. All right. So here's the first question. And, just to kind of underscore what Pixie's saying, these questions, if they pertain to you, if you feel like they're somewhat relevant, listen in. We're going to try to offer the best advice that we can, and all in the intent and goal of helping you succeed. So without further ado, let me get started with the first question.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I've finished Wealth Magic, but I'm not seeing results yet. Why? Great question.
Mm-hmm.
Well, okay, so one possibility is that it's way too early to see results and you're being impatient. That is one reason why you could be experiencing this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll backbone off that. We live in a society and a world where we all expect instant gratification, and magic works outside of that, and beyond that. And it's not going to provide us with the satisfaction of instant gratification most of the time. And so a lot of it is a waiting game. And they tell you in the beginning of the book that it could take up to 2 years or more for the results to fully manifest. I feel like for a lot of people it could be a lifelong sort of progression, maybe not lifelong, but over the course of a phase of life. But it's not an instant gratification like boom, I'm rich.
Yeah, go ahead.
No. Oh no, go for it.
And it is so individual that it is so hard to, just give one response, because it really depends on the practitioner. What was the situation to begin with? What was your goal, your desire? What did you ask for? And what is the vision for your life? And how many pieces of the puzzle have to be moved around, so it is very individual to the situation of your current career, or you trying to switch your career, starting a new business, all these things. And then of course also, and this is very important, some people, and this is very annoying to me, and the magic community, yes, just because we have these powerful spirits, it does not mean that you can create anything with no work in the area of money.
Mm-hmm.
There will, and especially building your empire, creating wealth, there is some input involved, of course, and some people are a bit delusional, unfortunately. So if you just did the rituals without, actively trying to create opportunities, or to look them, or to take them, or to see where you can make a change, and you just sit there and think the spirits are just going to move everything by itself, it does not work like that. Not for big results. Yes, with money magic overall, you can manifest someone handing you a little bit of money here and there. But if you're asking, to create wealth, to have this huge shift, you have to change something in what you're doing. So, and if you didn't do that, then yeah, that may be the reason. Then it may be, I've known people that have completely failed, unfortunately, because they didn't change anything or try to create anything new. So
I agree. I think this question is such a good question. It's sort of a multi-prong approach type of question. I mean, pardon me. I think oftentimes I think very analytically, and when I come across this question, which I see a lot in the group, some of the things that I think about is, first off, Wealth Magic, it's a grimoire, right? But it's sort of this progressive step process where there's a reason why Clauneck is last. There's a reason why there's a ritual of omnipotence. There's a reason why you call these specific angels, and I think that if you've done Wealth Magic and you haven't seen any success in it, consider doing it potentially a second time, because in your second time, or you might have done this on your first time, but essentially in doing it a second time could potentially help you focus better on the rituals proper. I'm thinking along the lines of, if you're not getting some sort of a spiritual result as you're going, then it's not working. If you're in the second working and chaos has not brewed on you, it's not working. If you're not, and each part of the process has measurable goals, or achievable goals. Also, look into the tarot. I think the tarot is a powerful tool to help you understand, life sequences, both from a mundane standpoint, and also from an astrological standpoint as well, and numerology as well. Some of the things that you'll know that you'll see, I should say, that'll let you know that Wealth Magic is working is numerology. Are you seeing numerology? If you're seeing numerology, it's working. If you're not seeing numerology, then there's something wrong that you did during the ritual or during the rituals, and maybe it needs to be repeated again. And this is why, for me, I say this because I speak, solely for myself. I had to do Wealth Magic a second time because, unfortunately, the first time didn't work. And the second time, I made sure that, I read the chapter. I made sure that I understood, I visualized it, I practiced it before I started the ritual. And then I perfected each day as I went through the ritual progressively. And, there's room for imperfection sometimes, but some of the things that you have to be perfect about is the names, who you're calling out to. I think some will argue and say, hey, that's not really that important, it's your intent. But truthfully, I think it's very important that you make sure that you're using the correct phonetic pronunciation. I can go on and on a list, but it's all going to come down to, did you read the chapter and did you follow it properly?
Mm-hmm.
The last point I'll try to make on this is, as I was mentioning earlier, Wealth Magic, it's a progressive process. And I think that you go through each part of the process to reach that final, that head honcho there, right? Who we're all very familiar with. And I think that's the moment really where the manifestation happens. And if you didn't get any part of the process correct the first time, if by the time you get to the seventh working and you are not glowing with light, to, in the presence of this powerful spirit, then you essentially won't see it. And also on the flip side, maybe you did do it perfectly, but maybe what you visualized and how you did the ritual, the seventh ritual, maybe the way you did that ritual or what you said to Clauneck was different than what you were envisioning. And this is something that, a lot of folks, they can get this wrong. You can get it right and you can hit it on the nail, or you can get it wrong. And a lot of people will try to approach Clauneck on a petition style request. And I think, Ritual 7 is, the book, the chapter itself is pretty clear on how it needs to be done. And so I think that, again, I'm kind of repeating myself. It's like, you really have to read the chapter and do it as it's said. No modifications, no changes to the style or anything like that. Do it as it's outlined in the book.
Mm-hmm.
Making sure that for with this point that I was making about Ritual 7 with Clauneck, that you're the book, the chapter says, tell Clauneck what you will do with the money.
Mm-hmm.
And essentially, it's very clear what you need to be telling him here. If you're not telling Clauneck that I'm going to buy a boat, that I'm going to buy a house, that I'm going to, if you're not saying when I have money, I'm going to buy this, if you're just not making it absolutely clear, then you're doing it wrong.
Correct.
One thing I think that is just as important as this is to remain aligned with in our actions following what we with what we asked for.
Oh, 100%.
Like if we ask for whatever, I mean, if we ask for a boat or if we ask for a new car or something, then we need to look for that new car. We need to look for the boat. We need to make sure that we can afford it. We can find ways. And I think one important thing too that you said, Marz, is like along the way, throughout the other rituals, you should be receiving signs, whether numerology or astrological or whatever, about how the magic is working. And I think another thing, which might be a good idea for a lot of people, which I actually did not do, but it just kind of came to me, was, I did have personally ideas come to me along the way throughout these rituals. And I think it might be good to write down these ideas when we have them, like inspired thoughts.
Yes.
So then at the end of the ritual, when we're done with the book, we can act on these ideas. And because those will be in alignment with the overall process, with the overall ritual, and hopefully with what we've asked for in the end in the seventh ritual too.
No, definitely. Pixie, you really hit it on the nail there.
Mm-hmm.
In the group, folks ask this question, and a lot of the response are always listen to your intuition. The prime reason why some of these rituals are being done, especially like omnipotent ritual, the ritual 1 and the ritual 5, these rituals are alchemical changes that are going to be happening internally to your body. This is what those rituals are doing, and they're going to cause you to think a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to stimulate change within, and it's very important to listen to your intuition. And essentially, that was the main thing that helped me. I remember I'm not going to go on another rant here, but one thing I'll say is that this question is so good that like I feel like it warrants this really quick point.
Mhm.
But you know, if you guys have heard the second episode that we did on Angels of Omnipotence, right, with Jared Tempest, right? That was a phenomenal episode, guys. That was phenomenal.
I think it's episode 4. I think 3 or 4, not the second one, but
thank you. I stand corrected.
It's okay.
We talked about how like these angels are so powerful that they are able to traverse time. And when we were having this discussion, I thought about my current conditions right now in my career, you know, and you know, basically how my life has evolved. I thought about a few years ago when I did this ritual and I was presented with this idea, you know, within myself, like, you should do this, you should learn this skill, and you should go and then go get a job and try to make a killing off it. Which eventually today, you know, boosted my wealth substantially, you know. But, you know, it was always listening to my intuition. But in that episode with the second work, and we talked about how these angels are able to traverse time. And I was thinking about my past, my childhood, and how the conditions were such that this skill that I, you know, was telling you guys about earlier just now that I needed to learn, I was learning it when I was a kid, somewhere maybe like around 15 or 16 years old. And actually, my father was like really pushing it on me. And I eventually went to university for a different fields, right? I actually went to school for, well, I'm not going to put that out there, but, you know, essentially it was a complete career change for me. And folks thought I was crazy, you know, when a few years ago I said, oh, I'm going to get back into this and I'm going to pick it up again. You know, this childhood dream that I wanted to achieve when I was a child, you know, because that's what it was. It was a childhood dream that I didn't believe that I could do, you know. And the long story short is I eventually achieved my childhood dream, which was to become what I am today. And this was not something that I asked the angels, but I think, you know, and this is my theory, I think that the angels of omnipotence went back in time and created the chaos that I had in my life at that time. Because at that time, prior to getting to where I was learning that skill as a child, I had gone through a lot of childhood trauma and chaos. It eventually, you know, brought me to my father. And when I met my father when I was like, you know, I think 12 years old, and it was phenomenal because he was such an awesome guy, God rest his soul. And you know, he was really pushing me to get into this. Anyway, I go off on a tangent here, but you know, pertaining to this question here, and then we'll move on, unless you guys got anything further. I apologize. You know, you really need to think. Go listen to your first off, like Pixie said, listen to your intuition, right? But then also think back about what it is that you really, really, really want. If there's any kind of advice that I can give you, go deep down. For me, it was a childhood dream. For you, it might be something else. But don't be afraid to do it. You have to take action. And this is what everyone here was talking about today. You have to take action, because essentially if you don't, then nothing's going to happen, right? You have, you know, it's like Wayne Gretzky's quote: you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. You got to take shots. You got to do it. I took shots and I failed, but you know, ironically, those shots that I failed at, I wasn't listening to my intuition. You know, but when I was listening and I was engaged, you know, I was a force to be reckoned with. So listen to your intuition, and think about what it is that you really want to accomplish, and don't be afraid to do it. Take action, and remember that you made a pact, and the pact is that you promise to let go. So whatever's holding you right now, let go. And chances are, if you're not letting go, this is what's holding you back. And you might be going through chaos right now because of it.
Mm-hmm. Correct. It's the magic is aggressively trying to clear out your life. And that is the difference between working with these powerful spirits versus just doing, law of attraction stuff. It's not as aggressive, but yeah, if you call these spirits and you're asking for these massive changes, yes, chaos may entail so that you leave your current path if your goal is not possible, if it's just not there, and as in Marz case, his result was not on the path that he was on, so he had to shift completely.
Mm-hmm.
And in this case, go on back to his childhood dream. But I want to comment something else. We mildly touched on it already with what Pixie was saying with, listen to the intuition and take action for certain things. But it is so, there's a lot of people that may not be able to hear spirits. And also it depends on how deep you are in a state, you know what I mean? And there's a lot of rituals. You're not going to be hearing spirits every day. And some people may never be able to hear them at all during all these months, and that's fine. But the way that they communicate with us a lot of time is via ideas that you have, things that pop into your mind during a ritual. Actually, I wrote about this in my book too, that you really just listen, just be open. If something pops into your mind that you could be doing, yes, like take note of it. Like that's a sign from the spirits. They're telling you. They're guiding you. It's never ever random if this happens during a ritual, even if you don't hear them and it just seems like you just had this random thought pop up. No, take note. It's very important if you want to be successful with this.
Yeah,
okay. So the second question is, I'm seeing results, but they seem minimal. I know we've talked about a lot in the previous question, so we'll probably be reiterating some of the stuff that we said, but who wants to take this?
Yes, can I respond just really quick? Yes, a lot of it, right, it goes together with everything we already talked about. But another thing is your mindset. If you start this book and you are actually in an extreme poverty mindset or a scarcity mindset, and here's a tricky thing, a lot of people think just because that they have a job and they can support themselves and they always have, the necessary things, they're doing okay, not great, and they want to do better. But just because of that, they think that they don't have any problems with their money mindset and that they are not in scarcity mindset. But unless we work on it, most of us naturally are, because that is the conditioning by society that we are all being taught. Unless you were born super rich, okay? But that's just not the case. I mean, yes, if you are a child of the 1%, you will probably receive very different messaging around money. But even, someone that was raised in a, stable middle class home and, like I said, is doing okay, they may still be in a total scarcity mindset where they have really negative beliefs about money or about the rich. But then you're asking to become rich. What do you think is going to happen? So you have to really, really work on your money mindset. And this is also what happened with me, because I used to have all these issues before I did Wealth Magick the first time, and it's just like I really, really transformed my mindset forever. So and it's just different. It's very different after.
The the exterior, excuse me, the exterior will align with the interior. The inner changes have to be done first for you to see the outer results. It's not the other way around.
Correct.
I mean, I could have like all the things that I asked for, all the things in the world, and have all the money, but if I don't believe, it's maybe I wouldn't keep it or whatever, or not spend it wisely because I'm not in the belief that it can be mine. So really just opening ourselves up to belief, and believing in the expansion that we can achieve within ourselves first is really vital to all of this. And the daily practice really is, core
Yes.
at establishing that foundation, like we've talked about in the past, and really, really fully believing it, believing how wealthy you are and defining that definition of what you think wealth is, and raising the ceiling, like
Yes.
if you think you know what wealth is, think more, think higher, give yourself more, because we're worthy of receiving of whatever we want. And a lot of people don't feel that, a lot of people, myself included. I mean, this is something that I've had to work on, is just, do I even believe that I'm worthy to receive all that I want? And the answer is yes. If we're here in this bot, in these avatars, on this planet, worthy of the abundance that's out there, no matter what job we're working, no matter where we are in life, no matter our, age, our sexual orientation, our skin color, whatever. Like, everyone is equal in achieving that same opportunity, that same abundance.
Yes, and I want to say, it's not, yes, obviously you need to feel rich before you become rich, but there's so many individual mindset blocks that people have that they aren't aware of. Guilt about having money. Like, how would you actually feel if you had it money? How would you feel if you had that money? Would you even be comfortable around your family, or would you feel guilty, or would you feel like you're taking from someone else? Or how do you look at people that have more than you? Like, do you feel like they don't deserve it? Or yes, are you comfortable with receiving gifts, for example? Are you comfortable if a stranger bought your coffee, or would you reject it and say, no, 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 no? And again, this goes really deep and it goes way beyond our podcast. So I just recommend that anyone who works with this book anyone should just work on their mindset. And you can do that easily by, going on YouTube or listening to podcasts or audiobooks that you can even play while you're driving, that are about this topic, just that you upgrade your mindset. I mean, that is just, you have to do it if you work with this book.
Yeah, agreed.
Okay, so the next question is, why is there only chaos and no positive changes? This is such a touchy question. All right, who wants to go first?
Yasmine, do you want to go?
Yeah, I mean,
okay.
we slightly touched up on this question already, because again, if there is a lot of chaos, then again, the spirits are showing you where you have to make a change. If something is really going negative, you may have to shift your path completely, and your life is basically getting cleared out and showing you what's negative or what is blocking you, or it just plugs the obstacles from you directly and leaves you no choice. It depends on the situation, but either way, it definitely is a sign that the magic is working. But yeah, things are getting cleared, or you have to clear them, and it's just showing you. And yeah, I mean, you need a new blank canvas basically, and all these other things are in the way, and they will become obvious. So this is just still part of the process.
Yeah, just trusting, because I mean, if there is noticeable chaos, then it's still a result. I mean, it's still maybe not the final result, but it's still like the magic in action, and then really just about being like patient and trusting and taking action, and taking our own action to assist with calming this chaos around us, or organizing, the chaos to have it fall where it may, where it's best for us. And then, and won't stay chaotic forever. What goes up must come down, or what goes down must come up, maybe. But yeah, but at least and the silver lining, that know that if there is chaos, then it is there to create change. So it is a result. It's honestly probably better than not seeing any chaos or anything, you know? Like if there were just nothing going on, I would probably be more concerned with the lack of results than if there was chaos only for a consistent.
Correct.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and I agree with that. Actually, I think that if you're not seeing chaos happening, you know, if you're not seeing it, basically, if you're seeing it happening, and you're linking it to wealth magic from an intuitive sense, then then it's working. Something's happening, right? It's stimulating some sort of change. And I think this is what the book is really good at. My thoughts are that sometimes, and I'll use a personal anecdote on this one. For me, what really pushed me into, this new life, that, let's call it, really was just being completely overwhelmed and exhausted with with the conditions that I was in at the time, right? So I had been going through, anyone who's gone through this knows how exhausting this is. I started a business. I had several lawsuits because of starting a business, non-competes, all these types of legal issues, basically, that just came out of me wanting to start my own version of the American dream, right? So I think, like, I won them all, which was amazing. Actually, it was a euphoric feeling. A lot of energy had to go into that, but I know that the Wealth Magic book didn't help, or maybe it did, but it definitely, the chaos that was ensuing at the time really pushed me to say, okay, you know what, I'm done with this. I'm just sick and tired of being in this situation. And I really was like, it was my dream, actually. And I know I'm not using the term dream loosely here. It was really this, let's not call it a dream. Let's call it a fantasy, right? It really was a fantasy of mine to be a big businessman in Boston, where I'm from, and to to run my industry. The industry that I was in, it was a very small niche industry. Everyone knew each other, and we all relied on each other to bring clients to each other, and make deals together and stuff like that. It was, basically, it was in the real estate. And it was just, I hated it. It was my dream to be this big broker, but I hated it. I hated it. And it wasn't until I let go of that, I said, okay, you know what? I'm letting go of this fantasy. It's just too much. By the time that happened, I had already started getting this intuitive sense, and within, to pick up the skill that I was referring to earlier in the first question. And I had already been on it, and I said, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it, and that's it. There's no one else telling me, and everyone thought I was crazy. And I tell you, excuse me, I tell you, as soon as I did that, everything shifted. The numerology was like crazy. It was like everything, the whole world started shifting. Even my point of view started shifting. Into, everything was just set up so nicely and so perfectly. The moment I made this decision of letting go, it just, everything just worked. I think that if you're still, kind of summarize what I'm saying here is, I think if you're seeing this kind of chaos, you really need to pay attention what you think you're doing right now and what is in line with your potential is not not aligning. And 9 times out of 10, if you're going through this kind of a problem after having finished Wealth Magic, this means that you're having a very powerful response to it, but that you really need to consider. You need to analyze your situation from from a third dimension. What do I need to change? You need to look at it, and it might be tough to make that decision. For me, it was tough. It was tough. It was very difficult, and I didn't want to do it. And I was crazy, and everyone thought I was crazy. And dude, everyone thought I was crazy. I couldn't convince anyone that what I was doing was right. No one understood, but only I did, because I was listening to my intuition, and my intuition told me this is what I needed to do, and I did it.
Yeah, that's kind of a point that I'm at right now too. Is it's like I'm in transition with about to move across the country, halfway across the country, anyways, and I mean, my friends and whoever understand, but a lot of them have been like, well, why don't you just move to Austin, or why don't you move like where it would make sense? And I'm like, because I just don't want to. Like, that's not what I feel is aligned with me. And it has been chaotic, and it's especially I had to change my own beliefs sort of even along the way to align with or to accept rather what I saw as the path unfolding before me, if that makes sense. And kind of warm myself up to the idea as well, which it is what I asked for, but I guess once you start to see what you asked for come to fruition and is actually in front of you, it's almost like, whoa, like, am I ready for this? Like, what's going on? It was a big shift, is a big shift, and not a lot of people understand and or have understood in my life either. And I just, thankfully, if they're good friends or whatever, they can just trust that I'm following my heart, following my intuition, whatever, and wish me well and love me and all that. But they may not understand, and that's okay, because it's not their life. It's my life. It's our life. So yeah, I can relate to that as well.
Well, the last part, it's not really it's what are other reasons for Wealth Magick not working? I know we're kind of running out of time, and I think these points we can just go through them really quickly, but without really expanding on them, just to mention them before you wrap it up. So yeah, what are some other reasons for Wealth Magick not working?
Yeah, which some of these it looks like we've talked about already, but we can recap.
Yes.
Go ahead, Marz.
Right.
Yeah, no, I think I know that you and us here collectively have put our mind together and created some potential answers. I think we've covered a lot of them. I will say that this is a very particular question that I want to handle with some care here, because we talked about how Wealth Magick was potentially working in the previous 3 questions, or at least in the previous 2 questions. I'm seeing results, but they seem minimal. Why is there only chaos? This one is, why is, other reasons why Wealth Magick is not working. Magic, we've already discussed Magic was not done correctly. Either you weren't following the instructions or you weren't focused during the rituals. This is definitely a possibility. You might have other magical requests that are conflicting. We talked about how potentially, not knowing what you want, what could be a factor as well. Things to consider is what's going on around your energy level. Have you been cursed? what's binding you, what's holding you back. And that's why I think doing a tarot reading is really good, because doing some sort of divination would
Yes.
help you understand, what, do a Celtic cross.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't know how to do a reading, there's a lot of tarot readers out there in the community. Please feel free to like, um, they're out there. And
Mm-hmm.
I mean, essentially, get yourself a tarot reading. Um, and then, other things could be challenging astrological transits. You may have
Yes.
to, work on yourself a little bit. Um, I'm of the belief that if you did the rituals correctly, that the magic will maybe not supersede astrological transits, but give you some level of immunity, in the form of luck.
Yeah,
Um,
I want to comment on that really quick though,
Mm-hmm.
because there's levels of astrological transits. We're not talking about, a simple Mercury retrograde, whatever. No, no, no. But there are serious transits that are messing people up, and that is reality. But however, I will not say that Wealth Magic will supersede everything, but I'm just going to say that it may delay it. That's the thing. The rituals are still valid, but if you have something really, really severe going on astrologically, you may have to just, the results, they will still come, but they may be delayed.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. I feel like if you that's listening, if you've determined that this is an actual thing, then find the way to create the balance, but keep your focus on you know wealth magic and the
Yes.
pursuit of that success,
Mm-hmm.
because I think that the spirits are also very intuitively connected with you. And I think once you get to a point where you deem that wealth magic is no longer working and you believe that, I think that naturally they will just shut down and just the magic will stop. But I
Mm-hmm.
believe that if your eye is on the prize, if you're demonstrating consistent results towards achieving the success that you put out to the
Yes.
universe through wealth magic. I know for a fact, I know this because it happened to me when I let go. Um, I know that there will be manifold blessings when it comes to the manifestations of this. They come they come in a very exaggerated way. And from someone who's experienced success with this, let me tell you something. Clauneck is an absolute exaggeration of he exaggerates to the fullest. The manifestations that happened, he let me know that, hey, this is him. This was him,
Yes.
you
Mm-hmm.
know? And oftentimes I'd have goosebumps because of it.
Mm-hmm.
But what I'm saying is months went by, and it was the second ritual. It was the second time doing the ritual, and I hadn't done it, and I hadn't seen any results coming in. And but chaos was still going on. I knew there was something going on. This basically, uh, you know, this really challenged me, and I love the challenge. This really challenged me to keep my eye on the prize. Like, okay, I the universe is telling me something here. Let's deal with it, and that's what I did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, right. Eyes on the prize.
Yeah.
Very, very important to do divination.
Mm-hmm.
And
And protection, I think. I mean, I don't know.
yes.
Yeah. Just speaking from experience, like I went through a a weird, a weird. I mean, I think both of you guys are aware. I won't go into detail on it, but just what I experienced last year, where I ended up like basically being cursed. I was like like hexed. Some of the things that I had gotten, and I don't even know like exactly who it was or whatever, but just being in this world, in the occult world, like that's a possibility for anybody. I mean, it doesn't matter who you are. And it really, like, my life completely changed. I mean, it got way better whenever I started to consistently do like magical protection,
Yes.
or the Kabbalistic cross, or the LBRP, like whichever, like all of. Honestly, I was doing all of them every day for like a month, just to really make sure that all this like parasites, like parasitic energies and pests and whatever were off of me, because I was almost blind to it at the time. But until it was like a couple good friends of mine that were like, hey, you got some stuff going on here. And I
Yeah.
was like, oh, that makes sense. So I think that's really important too, is just check in with yourself and your energy, and also make sure that the energy around you isn't blocking the manifestations from reaching you either.
Yeah, that's why I was thinking, back to, magic not done correctly. Like, hey, how's the space that you're doing magic in? You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Is it clean
Hmm.
on an energetic level?
And on a physical level, even, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah, but that kind
Yeah.
of goes together. When usually,
True. Yeah.
physical dirt will also make it dirty on like an energetic level. So
Hmm.
yeah, I mean, imagine you live in it's rare, but who knows? I mean, what if you live in a cursed place?
Hmm.
Or a house where some people killed themselves? I don't know, something weird like this. So just saying, just something to think about. Well, it is more rare, but something to be aware of. You're really
Hmm.
doing magic with your mind, your body, and the space around you. It's all very important. And
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, completely. I agree. And even after, even once the magic is done and you're waiting for results, like the whole process, really.
Right, keep it clean, do your protections. If too
Hmm.
many weird, suspicious things are going on that are not just simple cast, do the divination, find out, or do you have any enemies? You know what I mean? They may be cursing you.
Hmm.
If you're a lot in the community, just be aware. And then, yeah, also with the astrological transits, if you think, but I feel like as magicians, we have an intuition, it will kind of guide us wherever the problem is probably coming from, if there is
Hmm.
another problem.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, I agree. One way or another, we'll be led to the answer, the resolution.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
Well, that's it for now, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This was awesome, and it was really good getting back into the same room with you guys,
Hmm.
Yasmine and Pixie. I know it's been a while, and thanks for being so flexible with my schedule.
Yeah, yeah, of course.
But I really appreciate it. It's a real treat. For those of you folks who are listening in, just a couple of updates. We put our podcast on Spotify, the full playlist, as well as Pixie. Correct me if I'm wrong. Was it
Hmm.
SoundCloud or?
So Apple Podcast, it's available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify.
Awesome.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yep. So if
everywhere.
you folks ever want to go and listen to the podcast on your phone, on your mobile phone, feel free to do that. Just download the appropriate um, mobile app and feel free to tune in.
Yeah, I will say
We're
too,
gonna.
it's also, I will say too that it is on my YouTube channel with video, and in some of the podcast episodes, for those that don't know already, there are certain maybe thumbnails or images that we include in the podcast. So the YouTube is the only place where you can see the visuals along with the podcast, and then the other places are just the audio only.
Yeah,
Awesome.
but
Good
yeah,
point.
this episode is no visuals, because in the past, again, if you aren't aware, we included visuals for sometimes with the sigils and talismans and that kind of stuff, but today we don't have any of that. So
Right. Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So that was awesome, and folks, feel free to also tune into our Facebook community. We've got a pretty active community. It's over at the Wealth Magic discussions on Facebook. Feel free to drop a line, let us know you join the group, or ask any questions. I've seen all sorts of crazy questions, and by crazy I mean, you know, phenomenal manifestations that happen for people during the rituals. And, you know, clarifying questions are always good too. You can also just say hi, but feel free. And that's it for now. Thank you very much for tuning in. Really appreciate the support from everyone out there in the community who has been listening in and giving us feedback and, you know, in general, just supporting us. Thank you very much to you folks. Thank you very much to Pixie for hosting us and Yasmine for being on board and guiding us and helping us with her phenomenal research skills and her ability to surprise us with phenomenal insight.
Yes,
thank you
and
very
she's got
much.
a book now. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you both.
Yes, thank you, everyone.
And thank you, for listening and tuning in. This has truly been really fun, which I don't think we expected it to be this fun when we started this project.
Yeah, and the more questions that everyone asks, the more episodes we can continue to do. So maybe this isn't the last one. We'll see.
Yeah, if you guys got if you listeners out there got a topic that you think would be good to talk about, feel free to drop us a line. We'd be happy to consider it.
Definitely.
Awesome. Well, take care, and we will meet again. Take care.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.